Hey guys, welcome back to another segment of Sarah K's Kitchen. So, what do we have in store for you today? Well, I will be sharing with you how I decide what I will be cooking next. So, I will be sharing with you just some of the things that I do in preparation of how I'm going to decide what I'm cooking. This is personally my own process. Everybody has a different process, and you have to sort of create your own way of scheduling time to make meals or deciding what you're going to cook based on your lifestyle, of course, your schedule. Everyone's lives are busy. So this is just what I kind of do. If you see something that you like or you think is a great idea, give it a shot and see if it works. If not, it's okay. But I just kind of wanted to share this with all of you. Number one, plan ahead of time. This is something that took me a really long time to get in the habit of doing. I find that if I plan what I'm going to cook ahead of time, it saves so much more time and energy. And also it prevents me from just kind of, I don't know what to cook, and then just throwing whatever together or opting to go out to eat. So, what I mean planning ahead of time, right? What I like to do is create a sort of schedule. Now, when I first started doing this, I would do 2 to 3 days at a time. So I would plan, okay, in the next 2 to 3 days, this is what I'm gonna cook. Since then, I have expanded to planning for a whole week of what I will be cooking. Now, if that doesn't fit for you, don't, worry, it's totally fine. But here are the reasons why I use this system for me. One is that it saves time by knowing what I need to plan to make for the week. So if I'm going to the grocery store, right, I know ahead of time, okay, this is what I'm making. And that saves me also time from going to the grocery store. Let's say I open up my fridge and there's all these things in there and I'm like, I wanna make this, like pasta, but I'm missing a sauce or an ingredient. That means I have to go to the store, right? Versus if I already had it planned, I know, okay, I don't have any sauce or any pasta. I need to buy that when I go to the grocery store. Just plan ahead of time, right? I use a calendar. This is what it looks like. As you can see, I just do it by the month. I usually put, if, for example, if my friends and I are doing a dinner together, or if we're planning to go out to eat that day for dinner, my husband and I or something, I will usually put it into where, if it's gonna be for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And then also for holidays. And you don't have to use this, but if you do wanna use it, let me know. I will share the template with you. All right, so number two, after I have planned what I'm going to make for the week, I usually plan a day that I will be going to the grocery store. And before going to the grocery store, my second thing of my process that I do is write down a grocery list. Now, grocery lists are great. It actually has helped me save a lot of money because instead of going to the grocery store and like, I don't know what I want. And if you're hungry, then you end up buying a lot of things, right? You should never go to the grocery store when you're hungry in general. But anyway, sticking to the list helps me remember, like, okay, this is what I'm making, and I get excited about it. I get excited about what I'm cooking, and a lot of times, when I'm going through my list, I'm like, okay, I know for sure what I have and what I don't have at home. So you also don't want to end up buying, like, what if you need paprika or something, and then you end up buying a bottle of paprika and you go home and you've got 2 bottles of paprika in there already, right? So you want to prevent yourself from doing that. Having a list really helps because also I don't miss something, and that prevents you from when you're cooking to be like, oh my gosh, I forgot to buy this. So I go through the grocery list and write things down for, all the ingredients that I need for any recipes that I'm making or things like that. Number 3. Now, this kind of ties into number 1, but it's meal prepping. If you are not familiar with meal prepping, it's what's different from number 1 is that I plan for the whole week, whereas a meal prep, I make something in bulk that'll last about 2 to 3 days, typically about 3 days. Sometimes I can try to stretch it out to 4 depending what it is. But meal prepping is a great way to make something that will save you time, right? A lot of meal prep recipes are stuff that you can make in one pan, or sheet pan, or in a crock pot. These are really great ways to, if you're starting to first cook, it's a great way to kind of figure out what you like, but also practice cooking, right? And you don't need to really like stand there and do anything. You just put it all in and it cooks itself. But it is a time saver. So if you have an extremely busy schedule, right, and you're just like, I don't have time to cook, meal prepping is a great way, because you could just do a meal prep day on one day. So let's say you're off on Mondays or Tuesdays, or for the average person, Saturday or Sunday. Make your meal prep days Saturdays or Sundays or Mondays, whatever works for you, right? Meal prepping has helped me just kind of get away from, oh my gosh, what am I cooking? I don't have to think about it. If I'm meal prepping for 3 days, I don't have to think about it for 3 days. So maybe on my second or third day, I can say, okay, now I need to plan for the next 3. Okay, so I only have four things of my process. This is just how I'm deciding what I'm going to cook next, right? So the other part of my process, and I think it's something that everyone should really try or do, is write down your own recipes and try new ones. So a lot of times you can find great recipes on places like Pinterest is really popular. Sometimes it's hit or miss, because you never know, right, if you're gonna get a really good dish. Another great place is YouTube. That's an awesome place, because people will comment like crazy that they've tried it, they enjoyed it, make suggestions. So it's also a good way, and usually by the views you can see if a lot of people liked it. So that is also where I sometimes get my inspiration from of what I want to cook next. Also cookbooks. If you don't have any cookbooks, that's totally fine, but I have a couple cookbooks that I've gotten as gifts, and usually I go through them and I put a post-it note on the ones that I want to try, or ones that I have tried and I really enjoyed. So if I'm kind of stuck or I don't know what I want to make, that's my go-to right there. And then the other part of it is writing down your recipes, making your own recipe book. Especially if they're family recipes, you can't go wrong with that, right? If you learn how to make the foods that you grew up on, then you honestly know them by heart sometimes. So if I'm like, oh, I'm really craving this Filipino dish that I grew up on, I go into my cookbook because I learned where I got it from. And it doesn't have to be like a fancy printed whatever. It could be something you just wrote, right? But I do suggest that you try that, because it's a great way to keep track also of your progress. And then again, you can always go back to it and like, oh, I remember I made this, but what did I do that made it different, that made me like it, right? And that's the other part. You can always write your notes of like, oh, instead of this, I used this and you liked it a lot better. Or if you're like, oh, this is optional if I'm missing it or I don't really need it, then you don't need to buy it. All right, everybody. Well, that concludes this segment of my Sarah K Kitchen vlogging of how I decide what to cook next. Please comment below if you are going to try any of these, or if you have any suggestions that I could possibly try. Or if you comment below on what you do and share it with everybody else. We are all here for each other, and we're trying to make cooking fun and enjoyable, especially for us average people that, we're not professional chefs, but we love to cook. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the next video. Bye.